Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go out and around the corner, it's basically right opposite the room here.
I mean, but it's funny because like, although, I mean, you're right, I feel like I don't listen to those emails like from young to because I feel like I get the
There's some
same
companies,
ones.
yeah, every day.
I get them every day.
Last chance. No.
It isn't the last chance, I know I'll get one next week with a new offer that's 40% off, like, I'm totally with you on that, on the email campaign.
Yeah.
But what is interesting is, the Limited, I follow them on Facebook, which I love what they post on Facebook, because they do giveaways, they also do like looks for having this
So
cute.
that lures you in. I guess
So that's more alluring to me because it's giving me a variety. Like if they were emailing us every day where Monday was an offer, Tuesday was a giveaway, you know, Wednesday was here's the new looks for the season, we'd be much more interested because they're providing us with something that we're valuing, like how to use their clothes, how is it relevant to this season's colors, you know, and then here's where you can get more information on how to style the looks for yourself. Oh, and by the way, we're running a contest where we'll have a personal stylist come and visit you to fit you with, you know. So again, taking them again through that funnel and varying your
Yeah,
messages.
I've got I happen to buy shirts from and it's funny because I used to work with a company that sent me over to London all the time. And so I fell in love with the shirt store.
Did you go to Richmond while you were there?
I did actually.
Yeah,
Actually
where?
had to Richmond.
Oh, Richmond.
Yeah, I did have to make that trip. I guess I had to be in Richmond.
Yeah, that's what it was named after, that's,
Yeah. Anyway, this is, not anything super fancy shirt store, but it's, it's a decent store. They send me a monthly email.
who?
It's actually TM Lumens. They're a shirt store out of the UK. And honestly, they're probably nothing much better than going to.
I was thinking maybe you were gonna say
Men's
Ledbury.
Warehouse. Yeah, it's not Ledbury, but it's like a third of the price of Ledbury. But I actually look forward to that email once a month because they do a good job of saying, here's new patterns, here's new things, here's different stuff to look at. It's not just a buy now, this is our discount this month. So that's the kind of approach you can use with existing customers. If
What
you
kind?
give them a variety of helpful information, things they want to know that they can do, and then you have the, oh, by the way.
As opposed to emailing them.
So I gotta figure out what that is, I guess.
Yeah, well, you can, so like,
That's when you can develop your blog content on like the hot topics, like cloud computing, or, more topics like if you're already managing their services, well, how can we upsell them? What are hot topics in the industry? Start to look like an expert source to them, to your existing clients, like you
Right,
said,
or like.
to keep that
Security
relationship
always.
with
Like
security.
service requests we do every day, if it was a way to like, if I was writing a blog, for example, I would wanna see.
Share the story.
monthly charts and how many of these do we have, and then you could almost like make some blog posts.
Yeah,
about
and share the
your
story, maybe
service
share the story
requests,
like with all those
and we had
computers
this
that's
kind of-
all.
This kind of request.
And we got to recover the next day or whatever, how you,
Right.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, some
track
really
down
unusual,
stolen-
really unusual cases draw attention to.
Right.
Yeah.
He needs that
And we
some
have,
of those.
okay, I got you.
So it's-
yeah, I mean, those are gold,
I got you.
absolute gold.
Those are the stories.
And that's what I have of 10 years, that's what he's kinda got, this depth of.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not just starting out, it's like you've got so much there, you've gotta open it up to the public.
Like you said, it's this brain dump, and so in your mind, you have all of this experience, but it's back here, and we have to help you get it out, so you can tell us so we can help put it into that plan.
This is a little bit off topic, and I don't wanna screw you, but I'm also, this is way off topic. VDMA, we do a lot of veterinary offices, and this business-to-business thing, to me, is fairly new. I've run retail stores for the most part, and I've had little small businesses, but it's new to me, I'll say, just to keep it simple. But the VVMA, Virginia Veterinary Medical Association, and then the VDA, we have a lot of dentist offices, and we're having owners of these dentist offices. All of our businesses are genuinely enthusiastic about us. They love us. So they're wanting us, so considering doing like presentations, it's not a question, considering like doing presentations or something for the VVMA. I guess what's going through my mind is I wonder how I target or get involved in those types of even get sponsored or
Yeah,
involved.
so speaking to those organizations about things that they can be better, and as long as you take it as a very educational approach, and again, you know how it works, you've been to trade shows before, you give a talk, and you've done a really good talk, and very educational, helpful, you don't have to say a thing about your company. And there'll be
Tap you on the
5 people
shoulder.
down at the front of the
I
room
got you.
asking you, so as long as you take a very educational approach, those are golden.
Like, you know, because you're basically sharing all of your experience from working with companies just like theirs. You know their problems and you have solutions for them. So from an educational perspective, you know, you're sharing what they can do.
Mhm.
And then they'll connect with us that you can do it for them.
And chances are they would be willing to do that, like giving you a spot to speak, because
Mhm.
associations, they do.
Well, I get Shade to do it, I'm not good like you.
You look scared.
But no, those are absolutely fantastic opportunities, especially if you can go in and very sort of tight and confined, and, you know, in 20 minutes at your meeting, I can give 5 tips that everyone can take back to their office and do these things themselves, or know what to do when they're talking to somebody, or.
You know, like right now, they want me to do, Kelly wants me to host a dinner for the WVNA, for all the dentists get together in Richmond, and they have a dinner, and so I can just spring for the dinner for everybody, and then, but I'm not good.
And whether
at
that
stuff.
whether that makes sense or not, or whether it's just a pro bono, you're going in and just being educational,
Yeah.
totally fine. Those
Yeah.
are all really good entities.
I guess I was wondering in the back of mind, so that's pretty, if there's a way to do that marketing through these.
I think you could do that without having to pay for dinner.
Well, besides that, I was just wondering, that's really the only way of doing that,
Well,
is approaching that.
Yeah, well, part of it, you know, where I am, which, you know, Shay and I work together, and I'm still wanting to, you know, we're gonna do some stuff, is because, I'm trying to, grasp in terms of industry. I'm a deep generalist, what you call a deep generalist. And I believe there's a substantial market for that, but a lot of the people that, you know, the experts in this, that, and the other say specialize. So, but then I figure, okay, maybe I can have 4 or 5 specialists below me, and I just have the specialists, it's not me, but I have the specialists ready to go. For example, I mean, we're getting hits out of the oil and energy industry, and I've got a deep subject matter expert on that. I'm gonna take them to Hinge, you know, and have that meeting. So you limit the industries that you're really gonna spend time in, because the way I've done it historically is basically kind of dominate the geography, you know, like the Richmond metropolitan area or something, and you don't have to drive and fly too much. More specialized you are, deep specialty, and you're gonna be on planes all the time. I'd rather send somebody else doing it. But what you're talking about is how much do I commit in terms of time and resources to specific industries, and actually cultivate them and build a critical mass there. And there's an answer to that, the ones that seem the most lucrative.
Mhm.
But my experience too is, I hate just throwing money at the sponsorship or advertising or something. I almost feel it's down the drain. So, you know, I want them to do an article that I've written, you know, for their trade publication, or me to facilitate, you know, a breakout session, or have a speaking role, or something like that. Because you'll get hit on constantly. I mean, that's the big mantra on those things, is finding sponsors.
I guess, yeah.
And so there's a lot of pressure out
Yeah.
there to, you know, hit on you, but I don't think the ROI is that strong. And you could throw that in, not to look cheap, but you absolutely gotta be able to show your expertise.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Because you gotta be more than just a good guy. And the sponsorship is, he's a good guy.
Yeah, sponsor the dinner is an exciting talk at the dinner,
Yeah.
offer the article,
You gotta have
have a free advice, something or other, who knows, I mean, those are valuable.
And this might be dumb, but I just thought about like what my chiropractor does. He has these things where Tuesday, I think it's once a month, Tuesday nights where he has this topic, and you're supposed to sign up and come in, and you can bring a friend if you want to, and he doesn't talk about signing you up for his services. It's about his specialty in health and nutrition or whatever, and it's a different topic.
Can we get back on the phone?
Let's get back on the phone.
Because we were on the first, on all of this extreme case, right?
That was the, all right, so the other thing I think a lot of marketers have, and I jokingly put this, we're talking about the book, right, and a good story, but there's always conflict and resolution. So there are so many challenges between a lot of organizations, between what marketing says and does, and what what sales says it does, and it's almost painful, it's like really bizarre. So I've got a couple examples here, an example I'm gonna show you, where we did a parallel path. So we took, what is the sales team gonna do? What is the marketing team gonna do? How do the contacts really integrate through the process? And so what we did was we said, okay, we're going to have, we get a lead, we get somebody come in, they downloaded something, right? So they're potentially, all right, you're gonna call them on day one. We're gonna start on an email campaign day one. Let's get them going. Sales will call and they'll send a contact email from the sales team. We'll also follow up with the start of a marketing. Oh, would you like the next thing to download, the next helpful guide, the next how-to, whatever it happens to be. And then we sort of worked in there, okay, then 4 days later, we're gonna send another one. And then, a day after that, we're gonna send another one. You're gonna be basically make phone calls and more emails, and then we're gonna send more days after that. So over the 2 weeks, one potential, again, good prospect if it's all the buckets that we know we want to check, will actually be touched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. In a way that, again, is helpful as possible. Just a way to sort of integrate what is sales doing, what is marketing doing, so it works together as opposed to saying, oh, marketing happens, stop, sales happens, stop, go back to marketing, okay, marketing happens, stop, sales happens, stop. Because I'm a big fan of saying it needs to be the same. Here's the thing, right? You go to the store, you go to Target, whatever. The look and the feel of Target, the store, when you talk to them, is the same as the look and feel as Target, the website. They're very purposeful because the consumers see you as one. They don't see you as, oh, that's the website, and that's the store.
It's part of the brand.
Huge. The message is the same, the look is the same, the feel is the same. If I buy something there, IKEA is another good one. I can buy it on IKEA, go to the store to pick it up, or I can have them ship it to me, or I can do whatever I want to do. Best Buy does that, buy and pick up. So it's that sort of big whole integration. Well, it's the same concept within I think marketing and sales has to do a better job of it. It's not linear, it's integrated. And I'm a big fan of this approach. We've been using this with our clients.
Well, can you give me an example? I'm not thinking of really get up.
Yeah, here's a typical funnel, which will sort of hear sort of marketing and sales.
Have you seen teams that, I guess, that don't work together?
Yeah.
Where marketing basically is responsible for just getting people in, and that's the end of their job, and then sales is supposed to pick it up, and then sales gets frustrated because they're saying leads aren't
If we're back to
qualified,
marketing.
or we're not getting enough leads, or how do I know who to call when, that kind of
So
thing.
we'll bring them in, you
You
schedule.
seen Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross?
I'm sorry.
Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross?
It's painful.
Where the leads, their leads are weak. That's what you always hear from sales. The leads, oh, they're terrible, they're horrible, they're bad. And that happens because typically what marketing and a lot of organizations will do is whatever happens, they're just gonna throw it over the fence and say, oh, we got a lead for you. And in some cases, nothing more than a list of names. It's not anybody who's qualified or engaged. And we've seen that. So when sales says, oh, that's garbage, I don't want that, and now you get into a giant pissing match, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And it's ridiculous, but I've seen it so often, I don't understand it. I don't know why they don't just say, we're really both here to get sales.
Because it's employees more interested in their self-promotion and they are the end goals or the,
That's
right?
not my job, sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
I got, marketing is saying, well, we got this many leads, so our marketing team is doing awesome. And then sales says, well, we have this many, sales. So they're only focused on their individual numbers, whereas like a truly integrated team is focused on the overall revenue
Another
numbers.
example of the integration is when marketing produces, for example, content that sales can use in their
Right.
Excel white paper, ebooks that you hand it to sales, and sales are helping with that.
Yeah.
pushing
If you got working in a system like this, I mean, then you get more honest because, it's a little like World War II, you carpet bomb a city or this, that, and the other, versus today, you send it right down, their chimney chute.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's the old marketing that does that. And even if they did a triage and said, this is warm, this is hot, and this is just a lead, the salespeople would feel at least they're more honest about it. But when you have bad leads that are in there that aren't really leads, that are being treated as leads, then marketing loses credibility.
Well, that guy we were talking about earlier wouldn't put up with that.
Women.
No.
He would not.
It'd be straight up.
No, he would not. This is in a past life, so I used to be at Precision IR, which I think some of you don't know. I started out as their consumer marketing person, and they had somebody handling their B2B marketing. And seriously, they would come back from a trade show, and they would say, what is the attendee list for everyone who happened to register in this trade show? And then hand this list of names over to the sales team and say, here's your leads. Just because you signed up at a trade show doesn't mean you to give it rats about what we had to offer. And it was a full-on pitched battle between marketing and sales. It was just unbelievable. It was just ugly. It was like, okay, call it what it is. Here's a list of people who came to the event. If you have time, great. We know they at least like the sector. But beyond that, we don't know. So what I suggest is you gotta find a way to engage them as a parallel path and make sure that you understand that intelligence. I'll pull this.
And that's a major distinction in today's world and 20 years ago, right? About broadcast advertising, everything's highly targeted now.
That same sort of flow chart, I did this with a company, I'll see if I can load this up. What we then did is not just told the salespeople to call this person, but we provided them with an email that said, hey Lindsay, we know that John Smith, I was marketing my offer, from this person, this contact information, he wants to know about publicity services. And he says that I'm in the middle of editing my manuscript. And he's gone in and said, I've been on the site twice. The first time we saw him was on this day. The last time we saw him was here. He came to us through this method. So we were able to score them. In this case, they had an internal mechanism they like to use to scoring. 1 star for the lowest level of lead, 4 star for the highest level of lead. And so we were able to not just say, sales team, here's your leads. Here's your 1-star leads. If you have time, great. If not, don't worry about it. We'll be talking.
That's what I do on the phone all day, right? I'm talking to my guys.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing, I don't even realize it.
Here's an example of somebody who actually qualifies as a 4-star lead. Not only did they tell us all this information, they gave us all the details about their book. This happens to be for a book publishing company that we worked with. They also said, we're in this genre, and we've done all these things. We've been on the site 22 times. Okay, tells me they're fairly interested. They're a pretty engaged person. And so we were able to kind of give them, all right, you know what? Because of all these things that matter, we check and score, call this guy today. He's a 4-star. And so that kind of gives them information just to make a judgment call and say, look, I'm busy, maybe I'm servicing a client, maybe I'm doing whatever. I'm not going to get to all my potential callbacks. So if I have to choose, what do I choose on? Oh, okay, I choose on this. I choose these guys here, I'll put those in the tomorrow pile. And that was kind of I think that was a game changer for them. It was that, empower that salesperson as much as possible to know it's not just its name and a phone number. It's what the hell are they looking at, what do they care about, what do they want to know about, what do they ask for. So that's kind of that whole sort of how do you integrate it through the process kind of piece.
So you're kind of my marketing consultant, so you are my marketing in a way. And then I've got Adam's my sales guy, and do what we did today, basically, and talk, right?
Yeah, it's like, okay, what are you hearing? Adam, what are you hearing?
Yeah.
This is what I'm hearing. I go out and I talk to somebody and I'm getting this kind of feedback. Okay, well, let's see what we can adjust. And it has to be that 2-way give and take. It really has to be. Because I don't care who you are, we might have 5 ideas we think are brilliant. I guarantee you one of them just absolutely sucks. And if you don't ask, if you don't listen, you don't know which one it is. What was the old Coke guy, the old head of Coke, used to say, half of my advertising budget is wasted and I just don't know which half? Well, you don't have to live that way. That's the amazing thing. Now you kind of it's hone in. And that's the cool part. Now,
And that could be also, I was asking about the value of HubSpot.
Yeah.
That in itself could be.
I think that every decision should be evaluated and monitored because somewhere in the process, there's something that doesn't make sense. So just take a tool. Do you buy a tool at level A or level B? Okay, maybe B investment is absolutely worth and maybe you find out, not so much. You might kind of, or activities A and B, or whatever you do, or, you know, hey, we're getting our blogs going, but we really should be doing all these extra content pieces. Well, you know, it's time or money, and sometimes both. And so you wanna make sure that it pays off.
I like that on your site, that was one of the things that, as simple as it was, whatever you said on your site about, you know, it's just data. If it's not measured, it's just,
It's a hobby.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna tell you, like, how do you make decisions if you don't have numbers?
I have done instinct, just raw gut, and it hasn't been effective. The only thing that's effective is doing a really good job and I get a lot of referrals. I mean, but as far as marketing, I don't have a clue.
You go through a checklist in your head. You may not formalize it, but from our conversations, you're definitely going through a checklist in your head.
And you have an extensive customer database system that you use. It is-
Yeah, I do go through I just don't realize I do it.
Yeah,
Right.
you definitely do.
Right.
Right.
All right, so that's just one example. So, all right. So bringing a lead kind of through the process, and this is kind of the functionality of how we organize our lead generation campaigns and workflows, is we always start with a list. Who are they? What are their needs? What do we know about them? You know, we really got to hone in on that as best as possible. Because we're talking about if you have different funnels, you know, different customer bases, you're going to know what's my conversation. Or if we know that I was funneling like that extreme case sales guy, that if he said, oh, if they are interested in this area of content, I'm going to speak to them about these things versus another thing. So that's the idea. Know your list. That's really the big one. And then be very purposeful about identifying your content. Where does it fit in the, what is it? How do I do it? Why you and why now?
You say configure also, you talking about segment.
Yeah, I'm really talking about segmenting. So it's what do I know with these lists? How segmented are, what commonalities do we know about them, that kind of thing.
Right, it can be based on your target, it can be based on customer segments, like your target audience, or it can be based on behavior, based on what's already in your list, which, you know, HubSpot allows you to do that. So, for instance,
Two personas.
it's persona, or you can have it by activity. So if they are interested, if they downloaded this, you can start to segment your
How
top.
if you do me a giant favor? Could pull one of those personas off of our push back. If you don't mind. It might help sort of.
Yeah.
So when we talk about what do we know about the person, so we just went through this exercise with one client. Or in this case, because we need more depth, we actually interviewed clients to build out a persona. Not everyone. Sometimes people feel very comfortable that they know what the different personas are. We work with that too, but it depends upon sort of the level of need. And so we went out and we interviewed and we tried to figure out, okay, well, what's your role in the organization? Where are you in that decision process? Because there are people that are sponsors that can get you in front of the right people, and there are people that will sign the check, and they're both valuable. So don't dismiss just because it's sponsored. Yeah, absolutely. Then it was very much, well, you know, what's your pain points today? What challenges do you face? What hurdles you trying to get over? You know, if you can make it better, what was better? What worked better? And we were very purposeful about, okay, they come to this organization looking to accomplish these goals. Organization, what are your goals that you want to accomplish? Again, be very purposeful in discussing. And this is just, this is the end all be all. But this is an example, and I'll pass it around, of a persona that we wrote for one client, where we actually went through and said, okay, who are they, what are they, pulled a couple of quotes out of the interviews, and just kind of helps.
Profile somebody?
It's a profile. It's basically a profile. It's taking a personality, you know, you have buckets of customers. They tend to have these issues and challenges. These other customers over here have these other kinds of needs and challenges.
They'll
What
fall into
commonalities?
categories.
Yeah, they kind of fall into sort of those sort of buckets or funnels, whatever you want to call them.
And B and B's your client.
You know, your
Correct.
messages would be slightly different based on who you're talking to. So obviously a consumer.
It's the
you
blue
have
collar
that-
guy, the corporate guy, the
Right.
same.
Exactly.
Right.
So
The
understanding.
IT guy versus the operations guy, because IT is gonna speak very complicated technical language, whereas the operations guy just wants you to fix it. He doesn't care what it is, just come in and fix it.
Doctors and lawyers are tough nuts.
Yeah, yeah.
I can only imagine.
They
Well,
just
because
talk
they're
about
so, well, probably because there used to be like, they
well together.
You know they only go to
Down their
attorney.
nose at, they look down their nose at you a little bit,
If
but.
I'm just very irreverent to
You don't
people's
have
egos, I
to
don't
do
care.
that.
Well,
That's who you
for
are.
the Obamacare, the doctors are getting humbled. There's a massive abandonment of self-practice in many of the hospitals.
So that's obviously just an example that we got for one client, but that's the kind of level of information I think is important to understand about your
Could I have it?
Yeah, you can have it. It's just print out.
I can't see it right now.
No, you're good, you're good.
Think rule of thumb.
Oh, I'm sorry.
On conversations.
I'm sorry.
Your decision maker,
That's our.
I always like to think of it, where do they fall from pain points? Do they have similar pain points, then you can talk about how you solve those pain points. So that should be your deciding point, is how many buckets do I have based on pain points? And that's where it is.
So really more pain points are a problem that they're trying to solve, almost conceptual groups as opposed to industry groups.
I really think so. Now, you could argue that there's some language differences between different groups. And that's, if you're really broad, talking to.
Well, the pain points, now that I think about it, is probably a little more work, but once you get down to it, because you're probably gonna segment the hell out of your list, not necessarily divide it up if you're thinking about industry.
And industries as well. I mean, there's some language differences between industries, but you can kind of be fairly general as long as you understand what problems do they typically have.
Right, and then this project specifically, go back to the industry thing, we're going after 3 separate industries, but the buyer are all marketing people, or designers. So while each industry has different types of projects that are different, they all have the same
Well-
challenges because they're marketing people and they need to speak to them in a similar terms.
This is actually a really intriguing project because we thought, we've got universities as one vertical for this client. They had manufacturers was another vertical for the client. And then they also identified hospitals and healthcare. as
Broad
another.
industry groups.
And you would assume